Today I'm going to show you guys how to use and navigate through TEKS resource. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the website. It's teksresourcesystem.net. I like to save it as a bookmark up here on my screen so that I can get to it easily. Now when you log in, your login information is going to be your school email and a password that you made up yourself. The initial password is pirates #1 with a capital P. If you need help with your password or to change it, please get with Miss Littleton. She has access to all of that. Now, TEKS resource has a lot of information and it can be difficult to decide what's important. So the way that I like to start is to go to my grade level and then select whichever subject area I'm looking for. So today I'm just going to do math. Be careful once you're in TEKS resource. If you leave it idle for too long, it does tend to log you out. So you may have to log back in from time to time. So the first thing you're going to notice is that it has your grade level and your subject area at the top, and you can change those whenever you need to. I'm going to go quickly through each of these, just the subjects and what basically we use them for. So the first one is going to be your vertical alignment document. You may hear some people refer to this as the VAD. Now what the VAD does is it shows you the TEKS by year. It shows you what came before in the grade level that was before you and what will come after. This is helpful to know what the students have already seen and what they will see in the coming years. So if I do second grade here, it's in the middle, it will have first grade before, it'll have third grade after. And you can select the different levels to add more if you want to see how your students are going to progress through those TEKS. So for example, here is our TEK 2.1F is to analyze mathematical relationships to connect and communicate mathematical ideas. And it'll show you everything that you do in this TEK and everything that first grade did and everything that third grade will do. And it'll tell you also if it's a readiness standard, a process standard, anything like that. So here's a readiness standard. So I know that when my students are working on place value and comparing whole numbers, that they're definitely going to need to know that in third grade for a readiness standard, so I'll work extra hard on that. Okay, I'm just going to close out of this tab and it's going to take me back, and I'm going to use the back button. If you use the back arrow, it tends to take you all the way back to the home screen. So be careful with that and just use the back button. The next subject is the Enhanced TEKS Clarification. The benefit of the Enhanced TEKS Clarification is that it's very helpful to know what students could possibly be assessed on, either through the PAs, the performance assessments during your unit, or possibly the STAR test in coming years. Sorry. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so as you scroll through this, you'll see that each TEK, I'm going to scroll down to one that's not just a process standard. For those of you brand new teachers, the process standards are the ones that are basically fundamentals that students use throughout their whole life. So this one is going to be using concrete and pictorial models to compose and decompose numbers up to 1200. So this will tell me all the different ways that a student may be assessed as they go on through upper grades. Okay, once again, I'm going to click the back button, not the back arrow. The next one I'm going to look at is the year at a glance. And you'll always hear this referred to as the YAG. Now, basically what we use the YAG for is to create our curriculum maps. We use a 9 weeks schedule, and the YAG tells you what TEA or the state would prefer we use as the order in which we teach our TEKS. So it gives you the units and when to teach them. And this is helpful whenever you look at the YAG to come right here and see how many days each of your units is supposed to take. That's how we use the YAG for our curriculum map and to map out the schedule, the sequence that we want to teach. Okay, again, back button. And you can print these out. Most of you probably have that YAG. Okay, the next thing is the TEKS verification, or the TVD. And this one basically tells you, again, we use, the 9 weeks instead of the 6. This one is going to help us see when each TEK is taught. So what unit it's taught in, and when throughout the year you're going to teach it, where you might see it, or how many times you might see it. The interesting part about this document is that if you see a D over here, it means that these TEKS are developing, meaning that you teach them, the student is still learning those things. So they're going to be learning that for most of the year. These TEKS down here, the T means taught directly. So you're going to teach that, and then you pretty much don't see it again, except for your own in-class review. It's not used again in another TEK. The O are the ongoing TEKS, which means that they are used for other assignments and other units as well. So that's pretty interesting if you want to use this document. Okay, and that again is the TVD, TEKS verification document. Okay, the next subject is resources. Now we have some new stuff in resources this year. There are our COVID plans. So the interesting part about these COVID implementation tools are that they give you information on when to put in the things that students may have missed the previous year. So for example, 3rd grade will need to reteach, re-go over measurement because last year in 2nd grade, we didn't get to measurement due to our COVID situation. Okay, it's going to ask me to save this. You can download the COVID-19 GAP implementation tool. That may be helpful for you, especially if you're new to the district or new to your grade level, to know what the students missed last year. Okay, and then also in resources, there's just a bunch of different, exactly what it says, resources, to help you, give you some extra information. And then the last one is what we would say is probably one of the most important documents, is the instructional focus document. You'll hear this referred to as the IFD. So when you go to your IFD, you're going to choose a unit. I'm just going to choose unit 4. And it gives you all of the information that you would need to use to teach this particular unit. I always like to read the unit overview at the beginning of each one. It's very helpful and it gives you a good idea of what you're going to be teaching and what the students are going to need to know by the end of your unit. Okay, so right here, the unit overview. This is very informational. It gives you a lot of things that will help you. So prior to the unit, it tells you what they knew in first grade. During the unit, it's going to give you a bunch of things that you need to make sure and hit while you're teaching that. There's some new this year is the COVID-19 gap implementation. So if your students did happen to miss something in that unit, it's going to show you what you can do to add on from the previous grade level. And then after this unit, it's going to tell you what your students will need next year. Okay, that's pretty much the rundown of TEKS resource. Again, if you need any help with this, please come and ask me, or of course, ask Miss Littleton. Now, new this year, we were sent an email that had a link to our implementation pacing guides. So you're going to want to follow that link, or you can go to implementingteksrs.com. And your username is also going to be your district email. And then you probably have to create your own password. I did lost password, and then it sent me a link to redo it. Again, try to save this to your bookmarks. It'll just be helpful for you in the long run. Now, once you get to this screen, you're going to go to the pacing tools. And this is helpful this year because we do have a strange year going on. So I'm going to click math again. And it's going to show you the different resources that you can use. Now it tells you the purpose for the resource is to give you pacing suggestions. Now I'm going to click on second grade, and it's going to actually take me to my Google Drive. It's going to give you unit choices in your grade level. I chose Unit 2. So when you click on these resources, it's just going to give you some helpful information for pacing through the year. It does mention up here to make sure that you have gone through your instructional focus document or your IFD farther back in the video if you need help with that. And it gives you different information throughout the year on what to consider, what you should be looking for, and different ways that you can use your TEKS resource. So it's a new resource that can be really helpful. And you can use any unit, any grade level, whichever you need. So it's just another tool that you can use this year. Again, if you need any help with the TEKS resource or any of the resources involved, please ask your lead teachers or Miss Littleton. Have a great day.